Hi, welcome back to Science 1206, the Sustainability of Ecosystems unit. I'm Ms. Ledwell, and in this video, we'll review food chains and food webs, a topic you were introduced to in grade 7 science. Let's get started. Let's begin by reviewing the roles of organisms in an ecosystem. Recall that organisms in an ecosystem have different roles depending on how they obtain their food. Organisms may be broadly classified as producers, like these Gerber daisies, consumers, like this frog, or decomposers, like this mushroom. Producers are organisms that make their own food. Plants produce their own food through the process of photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, plants use abiotic resources, including sunlight, carbon dioxide gas in the air, and water to produce their own food. Examples of producers include phytoplankton, algae, trees, grass, and berry bushes. Consumers are organisms that eat other organisms for food. Consumers may eat plants, animals, or a combination of both. Consumers may be classified as herbivores, carnivores, or omnivores depending on their diet. We have herbivores like this deer that eat a plant-based diet, carnivores that eat other animals like this tiger, or omnivores which eat both plants and animals like this bear which eats berries and meat like trout and small mammals. A food chain is a model that shows how food energy is transferred between living things. Food chains show what eats what in an ecosystem. All the energy in a food chain starts with the sun. Plants use the energy from the sun to produce their own food in the process of photosynthesis. The first link in a food chain begins with a producer, because producers are the only organisms that can make their own food, thereby producing energy for the ecosystem. The second link consists of consumers that eat producers. These organisms are known as herbivores and get their energy from consuming plants. The third link consists of consumers that eat other consumers, known as carnivores. Energy flows from the producers to the consumers and from the herbivores to the carnivores. Arrows show the energy flow. Feeding relationships in an ecosystem are more complicated than what is shown by a food chain. Most consumers eat and are eaten by more than one type of organism and are a part of different food chains. A more complex model that shows feeding relationships is called a food web. A food web is a combination of interconnected food chains in an ecosystem. As in a food chain, arrows show the transfer of energy from one living thing to another. However, not all energy gets transferred from one level to the next. Where does the missing energy go? Some energy is used for functions such as growth and movement, or has been lost as heat from the bodies of consumers. This is an example of a marine food web. You'll notice that it's many food chains interconnected with one another. When organisms in food webs die, their bodies are broken down by decomposers. Decomposers can be defined as organisms that break down dead organisms into their basic parts. Decomposers do not eat their food, but rather, they release chemicals that break down dead tissue into smaller particles. The decomposers then absorb the nutrients into their own cells. When decomposers break down waste matter and dead organisms, they also release nutrient materials into the soil, water, and air, where they can be used by producers. Producers use the nutrients to help them grow. In this way, nutrients are recycled. Decomposers help maintain the balance of the ecosystem by preventing the buildup of dead material, which can lead to disease and habitat disruption. Examples of decomposers include fungi such as mushrooms and bacteria. Now it's time to continue to the next video. Before you do, pause for a half-minute recharge. Rise, reach, and stretch before moving on to the next video.